Rise of the Resistance, a world-class dark ride and immersive experience above all. This is the most recent installation into Disneyland as part of their $1 billion expansion plan of Galaxies Edge. This is the signature e-ticket attraction for this land, and it definitely shows. Not only is this one of the most complex dark rides in the world, but it's a complete immersive experience that tells a full story. In today's video, we will be reviewing the ins and outs of Rise of the Resistance and giving it a ranking out of 10. Note that this will also work for Disney World's Rise of the Resistance, as the two lands and rides are near identical of each other. Before we start the video, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. It means a lot more than you think and will help a small channel like us grow. The first thing you'll notice is the entrance. It's kinda hard to find, and that's the point. There's not a grand sign that says Rise of the Resistance, it's just a small group of buildings. This is because it's a resistant outpost in a rebel-occupied Galaxy's Edge. Part of this building is a gun or turret. This is used to protect the guests because you are taking on the role of rebel recruits. One thing to note is that this is an individual lightning lane, so it costs $12 to $20 per person depending on the day. In my opinion, it is not worth it at all, but you do you. The queue line is really well decorated with nice set pieces. There's a room with a rack of suits and also a room with a whack of weapons. Also, throughout the majority of the queue, there are benches to sit in, and it's really nice. A lot of people sit on the hand railings at Disney, and this solved their problems. Once you're past the queue, you go to the first pre-show. This pre-show has Rey explaining the backstory. Basically, a Star Destroyer is headed towards the outpost, and you as the recruit are being moved out to Bakara. She explains how you as guests are vital to the cause, and how you absolutely cannot disclose the whereabouts of this outpost. This is all shown on a projection that looks pretty cool. My one complaint is the projection is not perfectly centered in the circle from some angles, and it also looks relatively flat from some angles. But what can I say, it's not like we have the technology to project 3D anyways. Disney definitely did their best. Following this, you board what I would say is the second pre-show. As Ray said before, you are being moved to Bakara, so you will board some transport ships. On your way there, you will see some sort of jet on the right. Sorry, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but you then board the transport ships. The transport ships are imagined like a bus or subway. You stand up and there's railings to hold on to. Yes, this does move. You fly off into space and everything seems fine until you are intercepted by a Star Destroyer. The tractor beam leaves you no other choice and you are boarded onto the Star Destroyer. This is the best part of the ride. The doors open on the transport ship and you are presented with a giant room. Across from you there's a massive window leading into space, where you can see ships flying around, stars, and another Star Destroyer. It's really cool. And there are also replicas of a whole bunch of stormtroopers. Whenever these doors open, you can guarantee someone is taking some sort of picture, and it's really hard to not do. I don't know how to tell you how cool this is. Even the cast members play into it. The Force Order cast members are rather rude and actually quite fun to mess around with. Last time I was at Disney, Flashwing asked them if they knew what a block zone was. Let's just say I don't think they did. You then proceed down a hallway. You're given a color which corresponds to where you sit, and then you go into the third and final pre-show. You are escorted into what looks like a cell. It's triangular shaped. I'm not a big fan of this pre-show. It's a bit hard to see Kylo Ren with the fencing that is right in front of him. Anyways, he asks for the location of the base and uses the Force, which is a cool special effect that shakes the building and turns out the lights. However, something comes up and he has to go. This is when a special effects makes the wall look like it's being cut open. Cast members come in and say energetically, "We are with the Resistance and we are breaking you out." This can be a hit or miss. It really depends on the energy level of the cast member and their mood. When done right, this exemplifies the experience. It makes you feel like you are really there. It just depends on the cast member's energy and mood. Once you go through the cutout door, you board your carts. They board 2 carts at a time, and each cart seat 2 rows of 4. The carts only have a seatbelt, and this is needed for an element later on. After being dispatched, you head into a room where the returning carts pass by you. You pass off your being as a prisoner transfer. You then head down a hallway until a droid spots you, and now you can't get out of this one. You turn around the corner and there are 2 stormtroopers that see you. They begin to fire their blasters off you. Some of the small details here is that is also seen throughout the rest of the ride, is the lasers that are shot at you damages the sets. I still do not know how Disney pulled this off, but it looks amazing and I really appreciate it. Following this, you head into a room with 2 AT-ATs. You try to board an elevator before it closes on you. You then run away into another elevator. There's an animatronic of Finn here that looks really cool, and since there are 2 carts at a time, there are 2 different elevators. One has a direct interaction with the AT-AT where you come face to face with it and it shoots directly at you, and the other has a more mediocre laser fire. So if you are only riding it once, hope you get the one with the AT-AT, but it's not really a huge difference. Following this, you go around the corner and up under Kylo Ren. He's talking about the presence of the Resistance and you see a massive fleet of the Resistance coming here. He then turns around and tells you that there is no escape. In the scene, the animatronic of Kylo Ren is very well done. Disney did a good job of making him turn around, keeping him human-like, and making him have direct eye contact to the riders. He then sees you and you're forced to back away. An effect makes him appear in a hallway and he starts walking towards you carrying his lightsaber. You then back into an elevator, but you're still not safe. A special effect has Kylo Ren sticking his lightsaber through the roof and cutting into the elevator. You then back out into the elevator and pass some cannons firing lasers into space. This is one of my personal favorite parts of the ride, with Disney's clever use of physical sets mixing in with screens. The cannons fire back and forth, intruding into the cart path, and you truly feel like a cannon is going to fire off and hit you. In my most recent visit, the cannons were not moving like they normally do, but it's whatever. The next room is another one of my favorites and has you facing Kylo Ren directly again. He starts using the Force on you and your ride vehicle sways and rocks to his motion. This is before the window behind him is broken and creates a massive suck hole. Lots of wind is blown across the room and is my favorite special effect of the ride. You then go into an escape pod, and upon release you take a slight drop. This may come as a surprise to the guests thinking this was just an immersive dark ride, but there is a tiny thrill element here. The physical escape pod is a simulator that is very similar to the one on Smuggler's Run. If you know me, I hate simulator rides, and this portion of the ride is nothing special to me. The one cool thing that is when you crash in Galaxy's Edge, and as you emerge from the escape pod, you are immersed in the physical set of where you crash. This is another clever play on Disney's part, and you then exit the ride vehicle in an outside station. Wow. Now that I am done explaining the full immersive experience, from pre-shows to the physical ride, you can kinda create your own assumptions. This ride is amazing. It is Disney's finest work. I would argue their best. From the storyline to the special effects to the cast member interactions, this ride really leaves me with no complaint. I am absolutely in awe whenever I get off this ride. I wonder, with all the moving parts, how the hell does Disney operate this 365 days a year? Anyways, I'm incredibly thankful that they managed to pull this off, and I am happy it has a spot in Disneyland. One thing I want to talk about is my odd attraction for the flooring in this ride. From getting off the transport ship, you walk along a super smooth floor that the carts also run around on. I have no idea why, but it's just super satisfying to me, especially when the cart moves along the track, and whenever you hit a slight bump that you could tell is going to happen ahead of time. It's probably just a me thing, and it's hard to explain, so if you want, just ignore this statement. To wrap things up, the complete immersion and technical advancements are beyond anything I have ever seen before, and is a valid reason why this ride is so popular amongst everyone. Despite this, I'm not the biggest fan of the Star Wars IP, and this ride doesn't strike my heart in other ways that some other Disney rides do. It's not my favorite ride in the park, nor my second, but I'll get into that in another video, as it is a very controversial subject. However, I still can recognize the impact that it has on guests and the entirety of the amusement park industry. For a final score out of 10, I'm going to give Rise of the Resistance a 10. That's all for today's video. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!